Hey there folks, and welcome to this video, and I want to talk about Motorsport playoffs today because, wow, I actually want to do a wider bit about this, but I want to get the bedding in here and the framework in here, because some people will know about Motorsport playoffs, lots of people won't, some people will be asking why, and in this video, I'm going to answer it. So Motorsport playoffs work the same way that your good old stick and ball sports work. You've got a postseason after the regular season. So you can have, say, the first 2/3 of the season be your regular season, and then you go into a postseason where only a certain amount of drivers can win a championship. A bit like you see with the MLS or the NFL or most American sports series. For the European mind, think of it a bit like how halfway through the season for the Premier League they start playing in the FA Cup. Except you wouldn't have any more Premier League games afterwards. Now what's interesting about having that kind of a thing for Motorsport is, well, it's not just up to a team. And it's not in a head-to-head. In the case of, say, NASCAR, you can have up to 40 cars on the track at once. So instead of it being one head-to-head fixture for the next round, they tend to do a couple of races, make the next one. So you have 2 or 3 races, and then you go into the next round. Then you go into the next round, and then you have your championship playoff final. Now, why do they do it? Well, to try and keep people interested. The thinking was that if one driver or one team runs off into the distance and wins a championship, people won't tune in. In comparison, if you have a guaranteed finale, where you can have a handful of drivers still compete for the championship, more people should watch it. After all, people remember those closer finales like, say, Abu Dhabi last year in F1 or in 2021 than they would remember, say, Abu Dhabi in 2023. Or let's try and think of another one in terms of an F1 analogy. One before Abu Dhabi became the season finale. It's really difficult because so many of them were championship finales, but let's say, yeah, wasn't it Suzuka was a finale in 02? Or even 04? No, 04 was Brazil. Yeah, Brazil 04. So the headline Motorsport series that I think of when I think of postseasons and playoffs is NASCAR. The reason why I think of NASCAR particularly is because they've had several different formats. They've had their chase, and for the past decade or so, though it's supposedly going to change in some way, shape or form for 2026, they've had their playoffs. They do a round of 16, and it's over the final 10 races of a 36 race schedule. Round of 16, round of 12, round of 8, championship 4. Where your points are allocated based off of if you're in the top 10 in a stage, and then your seeding position going all the way at the end of the race. So if you DNF on lap 1, you're in for a really bad points day. Now, one that I found interesting that came in for 2025 was the Supercars series, the Australian muscle car touring car series, where they had their first 25 rounds make up what they call the Sprint Cup. The 500 at the Bend and the Bathurst 1000 made up their Enduro Cup. And then they had what they called their Finals series, which were the final 3 race meetings. So the 2 races at the Gold Coast, the 2 races at Sandown, and then the 3 races in Adelaide. And again, they had their normal points formats in a way. And that decided the final standings. Now, the problem that they both had this season is they seemingly created unpopular champions. Even though Kyle Larson was arguably the best driver in the NASCAR Cup Series this season, because the narrative had been built up for so long that Denny Hamlin was going to have his year this year, all of a sudden, everybody was like, hang on, that's a little bit unfair. Hamlin should have won this one. It shouldn't have been Larson. But Larson managed to Abu Dhabi 2020 won it in the best way possible. A car spins out. Similar spin early in the race didn't cause a caution, but because it's a puncher for, funnily enough, won the championship for all people and a teammate of Kyle Larson, they throw the caution. And Hamlin's team makes a bad call for taking more tyres, thinking that it'll be like the truck race. Larson takes less tyres. Larson goes on, finishes third, but more importantly is the top of the championship 4 and wins the championship. The Supercars one was tough in a different way. Because third place finisher, I can't believe he was third place finisher in the end, Brock Feeney, won the sprint championship. He won more races than anyone else in the year. I think he won how many in the end? I think it was half of the races in the season. I think it was something like 15 races on the season. Chaz Mostert, who was the eventual champion, won one in the sprint, didn't have a great Enduro Cup, but in the final series, won the first 3, so the 2 at Surface and one of the ones at Sandown, and then got second place at all the ones at Adelaide. In fact, if it hadn't been for being spun around right at the start in Adelaide in the final race and finishing down in 20th, Brock Feeney probably would have been the champion. Does it make Mostert a less deserving champion? No, I'd say not. He played that format as well as he could have, and his team worked with it as well. But it was Brock Feeney's year. He was arguably the best driver on the year. And it just really sucks when you see that kind of thing. It's great when you can build a narrative, but the problem is you got to make sure that the alternatives are equally as appealing as well. And that's a discussion point I want to get going, because NASCAR has had some interesting ones like that in the past. Joey Logano, for example, has been unpopular with all of his championships. However, would it be interesting if it went to different series? I could imagine the Orange Army would be happy if F1 had a championship race, much like NASCAR. So that's what I'm going to explore. I don't know when the next follow-up videos of this are going to be. They'll be coming soon. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section down below, as always. So thank you so much for watching and joining, folks, and till next time, it's bye for now.